Hello everyone, Cindy here with Monarch Mom DIY. Thank you so much for joining me today on my channel where I love to bring you my best tips and tools to help you create beautiful home decor or purposeful items on a budget. Today I am excited to share with you two different versions of a gratitude journal that you can make from home with some basic scrapbooking tools and supplies. So with all that being said, let's get crafting. For version number 1 of our gratitude journal, we are going to make a book using one of these mini composition books. Here I'm going to just do a little flip through for you of a sample one that I made. I have a seam binding closure that is secured and ties. Inside the front cover, you've got a little pocket there. And then I did section off the pages in my journal into 4 sections. So I made a little page divider with a tab for each of the 4 sections, and you can see I just decorated them very basically using some journaling cards that came in a fall paper pack. And then at the back again, you do have another small pocket, and again you can tie this journal closed because even with the cardstock I added to it, it's going to get probably pretty thick if you start adding photographs and things like that. So the main item I'm using for the base of this journal is this half-size mini composition book. It is basically a composition book cut in half. Now I purchased these at back to school time. I know you can have some office stores cut regular composition books in half. What you're going to need first are 2 decorative pieces of cardstock that measure 4 7/8 inches, and then I did leave them the full 12 inches. So my book here, the height is 4 7/8 inches. Now I'm using some score tape. This is 1-inch score tape. This is just going to be an easy, less messy way to attach our cardstock to the front of our composition book. So I am going to lay this as close as I can to the edges. I'm going to go all the way around the perimeter of this front cover and then do one piece also in the middle. Now you can see that I'm not trimming these very closely right now, but I will trim those up before we stick down our cardstock. So once I have that score tape trimmed up, I will do the same thing to the back. Now you could definitely use regular tape runner. You could use wet glue for this. This is just what I'm using because it's what I have on hand. So coming back to the front, you can see I pressed down or burnished that tape really well so that the sticky will stay on my book and I'll be able to peel off the paper backing here. This is pretty sticky, and I decided I'm going to put the leaves on the front. So I am lining it up on that left side where that piece of vinyl kind of covers the spine, and then I'm trying to get it straight along the bottom as well. Then we're going to press that down really well, make sure that adhesive gets into the fibers of the paper. Then flipping it to the inside, I'm taking my bone folder and I'm kind of scoring the cardstock right up against the cover of the book, and I'm going to work at folding that over and getting it nice and straight. We'll use our bone folder to make sure that is nice and creased. And then once we have that, we're going to take a tape runner. Again, you could use more score tape, you could use wet glue, and we're just going to wrap this cardstock piece around the inside now of our cover. So here's our front cover so far, and you can see the inside goes almost to the corner. We're going to put those pockets in though. So now flipping to the back, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to burnish down my score tape, but before I peel off the backing, I'm going to take a length of seam binding and I'm going to trim that. We are going to attach this here to the back to be our tie closure. So now that I have that, go ahead and peel off the backing of your score tape. And then once we have that all removed, we're going to find the center of our piece of seam binding and kind of straighten out, flatten out right there in the middle. And we're going to attach it down. You can see I'm doing it not quite halfway at the book, but a little closer towards the end. Then I'm going to put some tape runner right over that so that our cardstock will hold it down and it'll have sticky on both sides. Now we're going to attach our cardstock on the back cover just like we did on the front. The only thing that's different is we have that piece of seam binding underneath, and that's going to be held in. Then, just like we did before, score that cardstock right up against the now back cover of our book. We're going to fold it over, get it nice and straight, crease it down, and use our bone folder as well. And then using a tape runner or your adhesive of choice, we will stick down that extra flap of the cardstock to the inside of our back cover. Now we're going to attach our pockets to cover up the rest of the white, and these pieces are 4 7/8 by 3 inches. And then you can see on one of the long sides I did take a hole punch or a circle punch and punch a little notch. We're going to put glue just on the 2 short sides and the other long side so that when we line this up on our cover and just glue down those 3 sides, it's going to be open on the side that has the little notch, and you'll be able to store some journaling cards or whatever you'd like to inside. And we're going to do the same thing on our back cover with a contrasting pattern and put glue lightly on those 3 sides and glue down this other pocket. Now you could definitely stop there, but I am going to make those 4 dividers. So I have 4 more pieces of plain cardstock that are the 4 7/8 inch by 12. This book had 100 sheets, so I'm going to make each of our 4 sections have 25 sheets. We're going to attach our divider to the first sheet of paper in each of our sections, if that makes sense. So here I'm just counting to make sure that it's 25. And on this very first page in this section, we are going to attach cardstock almost exactly like we did it on the cover, except we don't have that vinyl strip. So you can decide how far in you want your divider to go. And we're going to just put all 4 of those down. I'm trying to flatten out the book here so that I have a little better access to this top page. But you can see they line up perfectly. So I'm going to use a tape runner. And these papers are a little thin, so you might decide to take the first 2 sheets and attach your divider to that. So I'm going to put long strips of the adhesive on the paper, one at the very end, and then I'm going to put one here at the edge of the cardstock and line that up on that first sheet of paper. Just get it as lined up as you can and then press it down. And then just like we did with the front and back covers, we'll flip it over and we will crease it with our bone folder to fold the rest of the paper around and stick it down. And we're going to do the same thing to add our cardstock divider to the other 3 sections of our journal. Now, because our cardstock didn't wrap all the way around the other side, I did cut some different color pieces that are 4 7/8 inches by about 2 1/4. I just wanted to cover most of that extra white space there, and we're just kind of color blocking here, adding a different color than what we've used already in the book. So I'm going to add these 4 smaller pieces of paper, and then we'll move on to the next step. So next I'm going to use my We Are Memory Keepers corner chomper. I am going to use the 1/2 inch corner rounding. You can use any corner rounder that you'd like. I will say that it is a little thick when you've got especially thick cardstock on there, but we're just going to round these so that they match the rounding of the pages in the composition book. Now this step is optional. I added some little tabs to my 4 sections. You could just use the cardstock dividers if you'd like. This is a tag punch that I have from Stampin' Up, but I do know you can purchase punches like this at the hobby stores. Or I have even seen at Dollar Tree in their office supplies where they have adhesive tabs that you can just buy and stick on. But this punch, what it does is it makes this shape, and then when you fold it in half, it's like a small little tab that you can add on to junk journals, to books like this. So we're just going to fold these 4 in half, and then we're going to glue them onto our dividers. Now you can measure if you'd like. I'm just going to eyeball these to try to get them evenly spaced out throughout my book. Both times I didn't get them perfectly, and that is okay. That's part of handmade journals. So I'm going to use some of my art glitter glue, and I'm going to come all the way to the top of my first divider, and you can decide how much you want it to stick out and so on and so forth. We're just going to pinch that on, make sure it's straight. You do have a second or two to move it around. I did my first one, then I did my last one, then I did the 2 in the middle. The last thing I did to my journal is I just added some decoration with some of the cut-aparts that were in some of my paper collections. This is optional, of course. You can use stickers. This is actually a journaling card with a sticker in the middle. And I just went ahead and put a large one on my solid side of my divider, and then a smaller one on the back side of the divider that had two different papers. You'll see here what I mean. Okay, so let's do a little flip through of this gratitude journal that we just made. Remember, you have the pocket at the front, and here's our first divider, 25 pages, our second divider, 25 more pages, our third divider, and 25 more pages, and then our last divider, your last section of 25 pages, and then your pocket. Now, the dividers, you could use this gratitude journal for 4 different years if you wanted to. If you don't write a whole lot, maybe you just do more the list type of gratitude. Or you could use each section for a week and use this book for an entire year. And there's your little tie closure. If you're stopping by my channel for the first time today, welcome. I'm so glad that you found me. I really hope you enjoy what you see and you'll consider sticking around by hitting that subscribe button and tapping the bell, setting your notifications to all. This way, YouTube should let you know when I upload a new video or go live here on my channel. This second version of a gratitude journal uses one of these junior composition notebooks from Walmart and a few pieces of cardstock. The other thing that I'm going to use for this is a long reach stapler. You could also sew the binding if you know how to do that. So this measures, 10 1/4 by 7. Then you're going to have a thinner piece of scrapbook paper that is 10 by 7, and then a craft cardstock that's 9 3/4 by 7. So they're all 7 inches tall, 10 1/4, 10, and 9 3/4 in length. So what you're going to do with your junior composition notebook is you're going to cut the sewing that's there holding the pages inside the cover. And then you can see where they are right there. Then I took half of the pages. So they're still connected in the middle. And we're just using half of the pages that came in the notebook. So with our double-sided cardstock here that is 10 1/4 by 7, we are going to fold that in half and go ahead and burnish down that crease. This is going to be the cover of our journal. The next thing we need is the thinner scrapbook paper, and I'm just trying to figure out which way I want to fold it. And we're going to fold this in half as well. Remember, it is a little bit shorter. This is only 10 inches by 7. So I did this so that they wouldn't stick out from each other. Everything's going to fit inside the cover, okay? Then our pages are going to go next, so we'll fold those to the middle. And then our piece of craft cardstock. I like to put this in the middle so that the staples can grab onto this, and it's going to kind of protect those pages in the center there. Then taking my 1/2 inch corner punch, I am going to do all 4 corners of the craft cardstock as well as the thinner scrapbook paper. For my outside cover, I'm going to use the 1/4 inch round. It's a little bit less of a rounding, and it just gives a nice finished look for the outside of our journal. So once we have all the pages punched, you can see there that they all fit nicely inside the cover. There's our scrapbook paper, and then all of our pages from the composition book, the craft cardstock right in the middle, and then going the other way. Now, you're going to hold these. You can hold them with a binder clip if you'd like. These long reach staplers, if you're going to make a lot of journals like this, it is really worth the investment because you have a lot of space where you can staple booklets like this right in the middle. So I'm holding this so all the pieces are lined up. I'm going to slide it in and I'm going to line up that stapler right at my fold. And I'm just going to put 3 staples in this, one in the middle, one at the top, and one at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and decorate just the cover of my gratitude journal here. I have some more cut aparts from a paper collection. So I'm going to choose one of these little cards that says fall is my favorite time of the year. And then we're going to back this with another plain color of cardstock and add this to the cover of our book. The other 3 cards that are in this same row, I am going to tuck those inside the gratitude journal, and I'll show you where I'm going to put those in just a minute. So the journal cards were 3 inches by 4 inches, so I'm going to cut a piece of this solid red at 3.5 by 4.5. That's going to give a nice border going around my journaling card. And I decided on the red one, I wanted to go ahead and just round the corners ever so slightly, again, just to give it a little bit more of a finished look. So we're going to round the corners of this, and then we're going to attach the journaling card to the front of the red rectangle. And then we're just going to add this to the front of our gratitude journal booklet for a little decorative addition to the cover. I decided I wanted to add a little pocket on the inside of our journal here just to hold some journaling cards. So I cut a piece about 3 inches tall, I believe about 4.5 inches wide. So it's going to fit on that sunflower paper. And just like in the other journal, we're just going to put some glue along the 2 short sides and the bottom. We're going to stick this down right here inside our front cover, and like I said, we can add those extra journaling cards or note paper or pictures, whatever you'd like, right inside there. Now this journal version might not need a tie closure unless you're going to put a lot of photographs inside and it's going to get really chunky. But I'm going to use this seam binding. I'm just kind of measuring how much I need here. We're going to cut a piece and then we'll go ahead and tie this around our journal and finish it off with a bow. And here are the finished journals. Thanks again so much for joining me today. Please let me know in the comments which of these gratitude journal versions you enjoyed the most. And let me know, do you practice journaling your gratitude in the month of November or throughout the year? I would love to know what you do to remember to be grateful. Thanks so much, everyone, and we'll see you next time. Take care.